What I found interesting with Mara, though, was that with the complete retconning of her relationship with Lando, basically that there was nothing romantic at all, it was business, and if there was any romantic yearnings, it was only on Lando's side, is how much it sets Mara up into that archetype of like Madonna or whore. In a weird way, it feels like Mara can't have a relationship with someone else, not just because she's so closed off emotionally at that point, but also because she's meant for Luke and she's waiting for Luke, which I don't like. And in the Jedi Academy trilogy, I didn't quite see what she'd want to go for with Lando, but if she wanted to go for Lando, you do it, girl. You go for it. Lando. Exocron, the Cathol Rift, the Aing-Tii monks, all of that are from the Star Wars role-playing game that was put out by West End Games, specifically a supplement called the Dark Strider Campaign. So while I know that Zahn didn't invent this whole cloth, like a lot of stuff that has shown up in the Bant Mara books so far originated in the role-playing game. But the Aing-Tii monks are just hard for me to accept. I have no problem with Force users from a different Force tradition besides the Jedi. I mean, I really loved learning about the Falanasi, and I love the Witches of Dathomir, so I'm not inherently opposed to something like the monks, but they're just so beyond anything we've seen thus far. They can just randomly make things appear, and their ships don't travel in hyperspace, they just pop in and out of existence. And it just seems too much for me. I also like how adamant he is that if Thrawn really returned, he would have let Pellaeon know. Pellaeon was essentially his second-hand man for a year. He saw him die. And if Thrawn had really returned, he wouldn't have done all this stuff behind Pellaeon's back that the Triumvirate are doing. So while everyone keeps going, it sounds like it's really Thrawn, and Pellaeon's like, maybe it is, but it doesn't sound like him to me, and I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Which, good for you, Pellaeon. We also meet some other interesting Imperials. We've got the intelligence team that's in Drevstarn that's trying to take down the shield generator and runs into conflict with Moranda Savick, one of Card's people. We also have Thrawn's followers in the Hand of Thrawn Fortress who are awaiting his return. Admiral Park, who is the one that found him in the unknown regions. Baron Fell, who actually is alive and well, was picked up by Asard, turned over to Thrawn, and whatever Thrawn showed him made him change his allegiance strictly to Thrawn and his mission. We also get to see more of the Chiss, more of their technology, and hopefully that will play more of a role in the books that are to come. Usually with the Bant Mara trilogies, I got the feeling that there was no reason these needed to be 3 books, that a duology, or maybe even just 1 book, could have been fine. But with the Hand of Thrawn duology, there is so much going on in Vision of the Future that I would have been perfectly fine with another book. Especially if that maybe would have led to some more battle scenes, which was something I felt like I was missing here. Zahn apparently wanted them to definitely be together at the end, but I'm not sure that marriage was really the next step. I would have been perfectly fine with them being like, yeah, let's get together, let's see what happens next. And then being a romantic couple, and maybe us getting a few more romantic scenes than we got in here, than them just jumping right into marriage like teenage fundamentalists who have to get married before they can have a sexual relationship. It just felt really weird to me. It's just some of the retconning feels almost not right to me. We have the start of sort of toning down Mara, making her less of an abrasive person. So we have Mara wondering why she'd never been on the dark side, and Luke coming to the conclusion that she didn't fall to the dark side because she was serving. Everything she did was in service to the Emperor. She doesn't really like that conclusion, and I don't like it either, because Mara did bad things. And we'll find in later books written by Zahn that are set earlier in the timeline, when Mara was the active Emperor's hand, that she has this very naive, idealistic outlook, which I'm not sure I buy, because what makes Luke and Mara work so well together is that Luke is the idealist and Mara is the pragmatist. And I just can't see young Mara being the idealist to the extent that she is in Allegiance and Choices of One by Zahn. And so I think that ties into trying to rehabilitate her image and not make her quite the unlikable woman that she was before. But that's exactly what I loved about her, that she wasn't an overt good guy. She was sort of nasty at times. She wasn't pleasant to be around, but she still ultimately chose the side of good. I also have some issues with the Thrawn clone. More specifically, that Thrawn had this overarching game plan that extended so far into the future that he basically had a clone on a timer, and that if they hadn't heard from him in 10 years, wait for his return because he's got the clone ready and waiting. Like Luke and Mara talk about, there's no way of knowing that this clone of Thrawn would be anywhere close to the actual Thrawn. He'd be genetically the same, and presumably Flash learning, he would know everything that the original Thrawn knew. But like with the clones of Baron Fell, the Devist brothers that Leia and Han meet, they're really good pilots. They look just like Baron Fell. But something's a little different in that their priorities are totally different. They're not 100% committed to the Empire. They're ultimately committed to their family and their farms. So while I can't help feeling that if Thrawn put this plan in place, I'm not sure why he would rely so heavily on a clone who might not live up to all those expectations. Also found it a little sad that Luke and Mara were debating what to do with the clone. They didn't want to kill the clone. They were like, should we leave him here? Should we bring him back to Coruscant? They hadn't really decided what to do. But then after the big battle with the Sentinels, that clone is dead. I know they didn't mean to, but it just felt really sad to me that poor little Thrawn clone never got to be uncorked. Just got killed accidentally while Luke and Mara are making a mess in the fortress. I wonder if people who read it at the time were like, oh my gosh, this is just a lot of setup. Who knows if this will ever pay off? But having read Vision of the Future and then having read most of the New Jedi Order books, I do know that it does pay off. So Zahn's not just setting things out into the void. These things will appear again.